The most maddening thing about making these videos is that I'm sure after it's all said and done, and they're up there and people are watching them, I'm going to be very critical of my work, and that's all right too, but I'll probably be unable to change much, and that's all right as well. One of the things that I do listen to and read about is technology. And it's one of my pet projects at all times. I try to stay abreast of technology, and that means not only the stuff they show you, but the stuff they don't show you, which is actually bigger, and where it came from. This led me on a great quest, and I've spent time around Titusville, Florida, and the Marshall Space Center in Huntsville, Alabama, and sometimes my travels have been rather accidental, and sometimes they seem as if they were directed, and then sometimes they were actually directed by me or other people or other things, okay? And not to get into that too much, because I like to see things, I like to know things. I don't actually have a lot of faith or belief. If enough things point to something that I can't see but I know is there, well, then I'll have a belief in it because that's just natural and normal, you know. But for some other man to come along and tell me something, then tell me to have faith in it, I don't think so. Nah, no, especially not a Jewish God who's male, and I'm supposed to worship this male deity but hate gays, you know, whatever, you know, it's just ridiculous. And to ask me to do something like that is putting me on the same level as their idiocy and stupidity, and I don't like that a lot at all. I don't like it at all. Back to technology. I did go down to Florida right after 9/11 because Jeb Bush was governor down there, and I wanted to do some investigating. Plus, I had just gotten a school bus that I was working on. I had some friends down there where I could camp out and work in their shop and get my bus going and get it ready for a long-term trip. And this trip was basically to go around the United States and start taking pictures of all these lines that were being sprayed in the sky and other technology that was being let loose by Bush and being denied by Bush, but definitely was legalized because of 9/11. I knew there would be some things to see, and I wasn't wrong. I got a lot of pictures of some crazy stuff. Things that I saw, though, that I wasn't able to get pictures of were some of the advanced craft, or sometimes the advanced craft were so far away, and my camera was of such a lower quality, even though it was good for the time. It was actually top of the line at that time. It just couldn't take the movies or the photo stills that were necessary to show actually the difference between an orb craft and a riding the lines of the gravitational force. Some of these were just mylar objects that were being controlled electronically with wireless, along the same lines that the drone air force is controlled wirelessly, but more esoteric with greater plans ahead, and more along the lines of anti-gravity than along the lines of general conventional propulsion. Okay, but then those were just the orbs that I saw running between the fields and stuff, and I saw quite a lot of that out in New Mexico. And New Mexico is a hotbed for testing. The most interesting thing I saw, I almost got a picture of it, and then it cloaked. And it looked like, oh, it was wild and crazy, you know. I did see one major piece of technology back in Clearwater around 92 or 93, and this thing was huge, huge and fast. And it just came up and seemed to hover for just a few seconds. But it was so huge and it was so far up that, you know, it was unbelievable. It was hard for my mind to take this into account and make reality out of it. You know, it was suppressed in my mind, repressed, because it was just unbelievable. In New Mexico, though, I did see quite a number of very odd flying craft, 8 or 9 that I could probably, and I've written about them somewhere, and the number is 9. That was including one of the more blatant orb craft that I saw. The one that I saw that seemed to cloak, that I don't know, that was definitely an anti-gravity machine. It was not conventional propulsion whatsoever. It was stationary in the sky until I got the camera on it, and then it ionized cloaked. And it was in a clear blue sky. I've been out where there were drones flying overhead, and they were invisible, but you could hear them, and that's just primitive stuff. They have flat screen televisions on the underside of the plane with a camera on the top, and they can only fly these really on clear blue sky days because that's how the technology works. Then the camera on top of the plane just takes a picture of the blue sky above, and that shows on the bottom of the plane. It's perfect chameleon technology, and I saw or experienced those quite a number of times out in New Mexico. Others were these bombers or something huge, two of them that traveled like 35 miles in just a matter of a minute or two and made very little noise, and had some sort of program where they could follow the terrain at like a couple 100 feet above the ground. They were gigantic, and they would just go over the mountains or over every little bump in the mountains, and they were so well camouflaged that once they got up in the shadow of the mountains, it was very, very hard to see them. I couldn't actually see them for quite some time, and it all happened much too fast for me to get my camera. But anyway, there's a lot of things out there that they're planning for your world after it is no longer your world anymore once you are gone. But you paid for that, and your children will be their slaves unless you do something about it very soon.